lower league football has all sorts of weird things that happen in it, but you might have never seen this. And I'm mad. I'm upset because I think that what is happening upon further investigation is incredibly stupid. Okay. And I want to be clear. I understand the importance of rules in FAs because the only reason that leagues are able to maintain a certain amount of prestige is because of those rules in various FAs, right? Without rules in FAs, you end up with stuff like CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, where you can basically just play on a mudslide and there's just not, like the rules that maintain and govern football in a lot of the leagues in Europe are there and have a really serious positive impact that prevents teams from having to play on nasty pitches and in bad stadiums and right? There's a certain standard to be upheld. But at what point do those standards become something like the HOA? At what point do those standards cross a line from being necessary to uphold a certain quality, to uphold a certain standard, to uphold something that, players can expect to experience all the time? At what point do we cross the line into, is it HOA? Is that what it's called? The Homeowners Association, where somebody's coming by your house to tell you. I realize this might be a uniquely American invention. I actually don't know for sure, but it's basically in a community, an association of elected board members that make rules for the entire community that allow the community to maintain a certain aesthetic. But they can get a little over the top. Right, if you spend enough time on the internet, you see HOA horror stories of people coming around telling you how high your grass is supposed to be. Right, not that like your grass is a wilderness, but they're coming by with rulers saying, hey, you got to get your grass cut today. Or you try and put something in your lawn that's not actually that weird or offensive. And then they come by and tell you to take it down and put it away. I saw one not too long ago with all the hurricanes in Florida where somebody had a generator and the rest of the community didn't. And then people complained to the HOA about the noise of the generator. And they also believed that them using a generator to power their home was making the other members of the HOA feel spurned. It was making them jealous and they would appreciate if they could not do it. They were essentially asking them to live without electricity by choice while everybody else was without electricity not by choice because they weren't smart enough to pick up a generator, which, by the way, if you live in Florida, you should pick up a generator. I grew up in Florida. We had a generator. Like, you lose power when storms hit, and storms hit all the time because you're like a thumb sticking into the warmest ocean you could possibly find. But HOAs can become a real problem when those rules start getting applied in a, I don't want to say a dictatorial way, but when the rules start to get applied in a nonsensical way, in an illogical way. And that's what's happening in the 4th Division of Scotland. Okay, because in the 4th Division of Scotland, there was a club called Bonnyrigg Rose FC. Now, Bonnyrigg Rose FC is a club that is like 140 years old, 1881, right? They are currently 8th out of 10 teams in Scottish League 2, which they set up the league system, at least in the top 4, the same way as England. So there's the Scottish Premiership, the Championship, League 1, League 2. So League 2 is the 4th division, and Bonnyrigg Rose is in 8th. But Bonnyrigg Rose has just been hit with a 6-point deduction. And it's right here. They've been deducted 6 points because of the slope on their pitch. The club are now having to ask fans to help them raise a required £120,000, which for a team in the 4th division of Scotland is, a metric fuck ton of money, right? It follows SPF, that's what they need. It follows an SPFL disciplinary tribunal at which the governing body said the club admitted the rule breach. Because of their pitch's gradient, the Scottish FA in September downgraded the club's license from bronze level to entry level. It means they dropped from 4th to 3rd bottom. They were 4th in the league at the time. Now they are only 2 points ahead of Clyde in Fofar Athletic, as you can see down here. Now, Mary Arthur, in the worst formatted club statement of all time, all but went out and confirmed this and detailed that there were multiple options to address this. One was to replace the field with a kind of all-purpose turf terrain sort of thing so that it can be used all year round instead of what is now a grass pitch. In this statement, they do say they've spent £220,000 on upgrades to facilities, including things like floodlight upgrades, those are both the same thing. New away entrance, seating areas, and terrace stands. So all of these are to satisfy the requirements to be a bronze level club, which is what you have to be. I mean, this sounds like an MLM or something. It's what you have to be in order to be in SPFL 2 without getting points deductions in those sorts of things. But they also stress, this is a community club trying really hard to compete in a professional league. And they're going to, they've already had people come by offering cash donations. There's a GoFundMe for this. To try and help raise the money. But I think that there shouldn't need to be in the first place because I take a couple of grand exceptions to this. This is the pitch. That was my first thought too, was this pitch must be hilariously messed up. We all have these mental images of like how messed up pitches can be in, the really lower divisions of football all around the world. I'm going to be honest, looking at this pitch, I feel like whatever teams had to play on when they visited Russian league teams in like early December in Champions League matches was way worse than this. I mean, you're saying there's a slope here, and I can see how there might be a bit of sloping to the corners. But are we really going to look at this field and give a club that has existed for 140 years a direct 6-point deduction and downgrade their level because you believe that this field is not fit to be playing League 2 matches on? Damn, this field looks good. The other thing that makes me sad is grass pitches are great. It is just maybe just personal preference. I would rather play on a grass field than a synthetic field, right? And now the reason that so many different clubs and leagues are switching to these synthetic fields is because it costs a lot less money to maintain a league standard. Then these HOAs are requiring these types of, like, this looks like a beautiful field, a nice a nice warm Scottish night when it's like 50 degrees Fahrenheit, like we get up and over 15 degrees Celsius or something, and you come out and you play on this field, it'd be fantastic. It looks great. I mean, I'm sure Jurgen Klopp would say that the grass is a little too long, but at this point you're just encouraging these types of fields, which, as far as I can see, like this is a highlight video from this field, like, it just looks like a field. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, obviously, the best way to judge a slope would be standing on the field. But, brother, I'm going to be honest. Like, this just looks like a very normal, solid field to be playing on. And all of these rules are going to mandate these sorts of fields that, are great and benefit community to be turned into synthetic fields. Nobody's going to get to play on grass anymore. And that makes me sad. I just think the game's better when it is played on grass. But I understand the argument of the club saying they'd be able to make more money because they could use that field all year round, and who doesn't want to be outside in Scotland in the winter? But it would also be easier to maintain because it's going to cost apparently it is going to cost £120,000 to try and flatten this field out, or else they're going to continue to get points deductions or whatever in the SPFL 2. I mean, here's a field level shot. Shout out to Kyle Hall, who tweeted out this picture. Here's a field level shot. I just don't see it. This looks like a dang good pitch. You know how hard it is to maintain a grass pitch that actually looks this good in Scotland? Not easy. Now, apparently the club's been given until January 31st to try and provide details about how they plan to fix it. But coming in, I don't know how long this legislative process has been. Maybe it's been, a year or two of them trying to get Bonnyrigg Rose to do something, and then they finally needed to deduct them points in order to get them to focus on this as a problem or to pay attention to this. And I keep referencing this like I don't even necessarily see the problem here, right? But if this was just like their first snap decision was to go like, we think the pitch is slanted. We went out there and measured. It is beyond our rule specifications, so we're going to instantly deduct them 6. Like, you're in the 4th division of Scotland. The 4th division of Scotland. Appreciate the fact that you have a nice grass pitch to play on, right? But these clubs don't have the type of money to be going around and walking across these fields with rulers, right? They don't have the Real Madrid setup where you got like 5 fields underneath each one and you can like grow them in a lab and raise one up and drop the other one down, right? Prosecuting this field just feels illogical to me. It just feels illogical. It does. And at the very most, you'd come to Bonnyrigg Rose and like be, hey, this is a problem. We'll work with you to, try and fix this a little bit. We think this would be the total cost. But really it's, how is it 120,000 pounds, man? I need to talk to somebody that knows how to put pitches together to explain to me every single part of this story. So I just don't get it.